Now that the 2024 fantasy baseball season has officially ended, Matt and I are wrapping up the season with 10 players that we were fascinated by on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It will subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly, to Matt and I, guys, give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth personalized experience. You text message alerts right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute podcast. And guys, with FanDuel, you can start the season big with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. And, I mentioned it at the top, and we finally here, we've crossed the bridge. Those people who, like myself, have played into that deep, final part of the fantasy baseball season, and it's wrapped up. We've seen you guys sound off in the comments. Anyone that we've helped, that's anyone's commented, subscribed, that anyone's been part of the journey with us this year on Locked On Fantasy Baseball. We truly do appreciate it. But Matt and I, it's time to take some victory walks. It's time to eat a little bit of crow. It's just time to have a little bit of fun reviewing 10 players, 5 each that Matt and I have picked out that either were fascinatingly good or bad or just had something that really stuck out to us this season. And Matt, why don't you lead the way here, my brother?
Yeah, so this isn't a guy I was right or wrong about. This is just a guy that we haven't really talked about all season, and it's Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals, right? He was the number 2 overall pick. He was a no-brainer. He lived up to everything you paid for, too. I'm going to have a little bit of gripe and a little bit of hey, he's fantastic, right? So positive notes. Bobby Witt had more runs and ribbies than we ever expected, actually, for this season. The team took a step forward as a whole, which is awesome. There might be a playoff team. We'll find out after today. Dom, correct me if I'm wrong, unless they already clinched.
I think they snuck in there. Because Cole Reagans was supposed to pitch today on Sunday as we're recording, and I think they pushed him back because they already clinched. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe so.
Beautiful. So good for them. Congrats to Bobby Witt, first playoff, which is good. And he had a really great season, 124 runs, 32 homers, 109 ribs, 31 stolen bases, 332 batting average. Took a serious step forward in, batting average, which obviously I don't think is repeatable. So do not count on 332 batting average, but well done. Fantastic season. 31 stolen bases. I'm a little disappointed with, obviously the stat line is incredible, but what I really picked him for, not only just because of the home run ability of getting 30 and a steady batting average supply, is the stolen base edge, right? Him to get the 40-50 mark, which maybe you shouldn't rely on him for 50, but the 40-45 I think is in the realm of possibility. That's what made him the number 2 overall pick. If this is the case, this is Kyle Tucker's season that he's had a couple times, and we've never picked him 2 overall, right? The difference between these two is truly the fact that Bobby Witt Jr. has the ability to go and get 50 stolen bases. So that's really the difference maker. But I mean, both are great picks. It's just a matter of, okay, I have the number 2 overall pick. That's the highest upside player. Obviously, Bobby Witt has that potential. So, that's kind of it. But this is nitpicking, right? He had a phenomenal season. The season is kind of not repeatable at all, other than the home runs and the stolen bases, which I think there's another level. Runs and ribbies, TBD. Hopefully Vinny P can play a full season, and we can yeah, exactly, and then kind of have a little bit more production both in runs and ribbies. Hopefully more of these guys can kind of step up and bring more to the table for Bobby Witt to kind of eat. And then we're talking about probably one of the best players in baseball for the next decade. So this isn't a poo-poo on Bobby Witt. This is all positive with just, hey, I wish this was here because I'm super greedy.
Yeah, Matt, I'm with you on Bobby Witt, and I huge Matt. I don't think you give yourself enough credit, guys. Matt's a huge Bobby Witt guy. That's his boy. He's been on him since he was a prospect, before he even came up. So Matt gets a huge shout out for just being really in on Bobby Witt before a lot of people really were. But the thing with Bobby is, what the funny thing with the season Ohtani's having, right? 50-50, almost 60-60. I think how good Bobby's been just has gotten a little bit overshadowed. If Bobby had this season, I want to say like 3 years ago, you talk about him as like the number one overall pick. I think just fantasy, the baseball has taken another level here with some of the rules, the smaller bases, teams moving in walls, stuff like that. Offense has become a little bit more prominent. So you see, guys like Acuna last year, 40-70, Ohtani this year, 50-50. 30-30 isn't really what it used to be anymore. When you would get a 30-30 guy, oh my God, that's like, the best thing ever. Now, there's a little bit better options. Bobby's still top 5 pick next year. If you want to take him number 2, 3 overall, I'm not mad at you. Go ahead. Be my guest. That team's going to be even better. As Matt and I were talking about, it's official. They are a playoff team. The team's only going to be better next year. I think Michael Garcia, Vinny Pasquantino, as Matt mentioned, just guys on that team will take another step forward. And the pitching's really good there too. So Matt, you covered Bobby really well. I'm not going to mention anything else here. It's just I like him as well. One of the best players in all of baseball. Matt, you were really on top of it there. Let's move on to this next guy though. Let's talk about Marcel Ozuna. I don't want to say I was like one of the only people in the industry that really was pushing this guy, but I think that I was. I don't know too many other people that had Ozuna ranked as highly as I did. I know on Yahoo he's outfield eligible. I don't think on any other platform he was outfield eligible. I did mix Ozuna outfield rankings coming into the year. I had him as my number 18 overall outfielder. Just thought he was going to be really good. 40 home runs, really good batting average last year. I'm just trying to see where he went in drafts. Getting Ozuna.
I'll pull that up. Keep going.
Yeah, so thank you, Matt. I do appreciate that. But the guy is just reliable. We know who he is. Going over to the Braves, I think was a great move for him. This year, I want to read off the stats for this year because it's basically identical to last year with just a stronger batting average. So Ozuna, a 306 batting average this year, 274 last year. You go ahead, brother.
Coming off the board at 134.
Coming off the board at 134. So I was obviously drafting him inside the top 100. I had him as my 18th overall outfielder. I know he was utility only in some spots, but I still mixed him in with outfielders because that's basically the spot he'd be filling is essentially the spot of an outfielder. 102 RBIs this year, 100 last year, 39 homers this year, 40 last year, 96 runs this year, 84 last year. Ozuna's 33, right? The price might get too high on him coming into this upcoming season, because he's going to be 34. I still think he has 30 home run upside. I don't know if the bat speed will stay as high as it is to, get that batting average to stay up at 306. Don't know if he's going to be able to do that, but next year, can he hit, 270 plus, 30 plus homers, good, RBI total again? Yeah, for sure. Love me some Marcel Ozuna. I won't be shying away from him next year unless that price gets really out of control, which if he's, outfield, utility only because he actually played no games at outfield this year. Last year, he did play 2. I think that's why Yahoo gave it to him. But I do love me some Marcel Ozuna. You're basically all reliable at this point in his career. All the underlying stuff, though, is hard hit and everything. All the power stuff looks great. I still like me some Ozuna. And he had a great year. If you listen to me, you probably made out really well on that one.
Yeah. We both pretty much would fight over him, whoever got him, which, it is what it is. You turned me on to him. I was not really out. I just wasn't, expecting this kind of season, even so, but the price was just so good you couldn't pass on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like pick 134 and you got a top 15 player, like, that's league winning right there. That's the difference maker of a championship or not. So like hitting on these kind of not only lottery tickets, but upside plays at at the latter half of the draft. That's what makes the difference. Ozuna was that guy for you. Great call on him this season, truthfully.
Sure. Appreciate it.
We had some warts this season too. Don't get me wrong.
They're coming up. They're coming up. Don't worry about it.
But some of these calls, we just kind of hit. You know what I'm saying? But coming up next, I'm going to be talking about Gunnar Henderson and how I can literally dance all over Dom's grave on this one because he passed on him like crazy. The Teoscar Hernández call by both of us thinking he was going to be as fantastic as he was. And, then I'm going to eat some crow on some Aaron Judge coming up. So coming up right after this. All right. We are talking about our friends over at FanDuel. When you have a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more at the same page where you make all your bets. You will get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. And guys, like I've been saying, bet against the Giants. It's my team, but they suck. Just do it. It's going to pan out every single time. You're already placing the $5 bet to get the $200 guaranteed. You might as well turn that $5 into something. It's very easy, right? They just lost Neighbors. He's going to miss about a week or two because that dude took so many hits. Daniel Jones sucks so bad it's not even funny. And here's how I'm doing it, right? Over on all of Wan'Dale Robinson's reception totals. I guarantee it's going to happen. Dude is averaging about 12 targets a week. Devin Singletary over on the rushing numbers. Daniel Jones under on any kind of passing. And literally, let's put it this way: pick the under on all their total points for the season, and I promise you will turn that $5 into something. It's a great parlay, everything I just named. So check us out, FanDuel.com, and place that bet to get $200 guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports and ESPN on your TV all day? Have you had to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or free on the Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Rely on us this offseason now, where you're going to get rankings, prospect rankings, dynasty rankings, keeper questions asked, keeper decisions asked, all this stuff that you have to worry about going into 2025, how we could take you there to get to that championship, plus a whole bunch of other insights into our episodes, little factoids and stats that you should just keep in the back of your head. All this stuff that we provide that's outside of this 30-minute podcast. You get a free 2 weeks, links in the description below. I promise you won't want to leave, and the price is just right. But Dom, normally I'd handle this off, but I do want to take this victory lap if you don't mind.
Of course, brother, go for it.
All right, Mr. Gunnar Henderson. Okay. I called this. A lot of people were like, oh, he's going to be really good this year, but nobody expected him to have this season except for me. I actually saw this coming. Not fully, like he exploded. He earned himself to be a first-round pick this year, coming into 2025. But man, that third-round value, I was literally picking him every week in a mock draft. You couldn't. It was just okay. Decide between Gunnar Henderson and Ellie De La Cruz. Those were your options, right? What do I do? And you know what? You were happy with either result, but Gunnar Henderson seriously took it to another level. Dude just smoked the cover off the ball. He had 37 home runs. He had 118 runs, 92 ribs, 21 stolen bases, and batted .282 on the season. That power number mixed with at least 21 stolen bases and the batting average, fantastic. Okay. I didn't foresee the power being as good as I thought. I figured, okay, maybe 30, 32. And I didn't expect the runs to be as good as they were. But the team itself, I guess the Orioles, really took a step forward, and they're not done. They're not done getting better. So the upside for Gunnar Henderson in terms of the counting stats could be even better. I think the ribby numbers are going to come up, I think, and that's scary to say because he already had 92. But, Jackson Holiday in a full year. You're going to talk about bringing up Mayo. Like, these are all guys that I'm excited to see play a full season along with Gunnar Henderson. Things are going to get fun. That team is going to be fun. It's going to be fun to have all the pieces of that. So Gunnar Henderson, I'm drafting him probably top 5 next year. Just throwing it out there. Gunnar Henderson is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm Gunnar Henderson, definitely a first-round pick, and I'll admit I wasn't drafting him this year. I just thought the price was a little bit too high. Gunnar Henderson was at the end when everything was said and done. He was actually coming off of the board. Hold on, I know he went up super high. Was a pick 28. It looks like, yeah. no, pick 30. So pick 30 for Gunnar Henderson, in your 12 teamers, it's right there, like first, couple picks of the, third round, as Matt was talking about. And, I was going Ellie. I was kind of planting my flag. And honestly, I think I lost that bet. I think Gunnar Henderson outperformed Ellie this year, the 118 runs and 92 RBIs with the 37 homers, the 21 steals, 282 batting average overall, just 5 category guy. Matt, you covered him very well. I'll definitely take the loss on that one, but I'm definitely back in. I think at 23 years old, it's still early enough to, jump back in. I knew the talent was there. I just thought the price was a little bit high. Matt, even you mentioned, no, I don't think anyone was thinking 37 home runs. The power definitely has already shown out. This guy can honestly go 40-30 next year. And with the crazy counting stats, because the sprint speed is 89th percentile for Gunnar Henderson, so he could pretty much steal at will. All the underlying stuff looks good when it comes to batting average and power. So kudos to Matt and anybody else who was in on Gunnar Henderson. It definitely paid off this year. I will give you guys somebody that I was in on, though, again. And if you did listen, it paid off. Teoscar Hernández, went over to the Los Angeles Dodgers this year, was coming off the board as the 28th outfielder. I actually had Teoscar Hernández ranked as the 17th outfielder. I had him and Ozuna actually ranked back-to-back. And I got both of them in every single important league that I was in. They helped me win a couple of championships this year. The thing is, I think what people need to do, and all of us can do it, it's very easy to do. Underlying stats are, kind of important. If you look at a guy like Teoscar Hernández last year, his underlying stats pretty much lined up with, where he was for most of his career. And, Teoscar Hernández, career 260 guy, can hit 30 plus home runs. And then he goes over to the Dodgers. So you knew that the counting stats were going to be good. It just all lined up for a perfect storm where, Teoscar Hernández had, a really strong season this year, hitting 270 with 33 home runs, 12 steals, 84 runs. As I mentioned, just a really good year on that Dodgers team. He's 31, going to be 32 next year. Price is definitely going to go up on him, but I think it's, again, another year where, hey, the underlying stuff looks good. The sprint speed is still good, so he's still going to be able to chip in a few steals. The power stuff looks good. He's going to contribute there on the very team, hitting in the middle of that lineup with Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts. It just doesn't get a lot better, and I think that's why, I love Teoscar Hernández this year. I love him again next year.
Fair points. Honestly, it may have looked like I wasn't listening, but I was.
I know you were. I know you were.
Honestly, look, it just kind of came together. It was the perfect storm for Teoscar Hernández. The only thing I will say is I don't know how repeatable it is. So 2025, the price may go too high for us to consider him for next year, because it was a great pick. I mean, he was going around, 120, around the same price as Ozuna, and it was just a nice little sneaky pick that we kind of just saw panning out. So we just look for that every year, and that's the difference of, winning a championship. So long story short, like, when he's in the top, 50, which I think is where he's going to be this year, I'm avoiding him. That's going to be too much for my blood now. He's no longer a value. So, you're drafting him at his ceiling. But anyway, I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk about Aaron Judge. I'm going to eat crow. I flat out am. I had all the concerns in the world of that big toe playing a factor in, and he turns around and just drops a 50 dinger season on me. And, makes me, have to not only eat crow, but really take this one to heart, because I've passed on him quite a few times, and it would have been nice to have him, But if my, the only good thing I'll say is he was falling in drafts. So, like, I did tell you to pick him around pick 10, 11, 12. So you did get him, but it sucks that you didn't get him earlier in the draft. But it is what it is. Aaron Judge had a phenomenal season. I can't believe he has 58 home runs and there's still today to play. He does a 60 home run to me, and this is just going to be ugly for me. But, you look at it and you go, all right, dude, you killed it. 122 runs, 58 bombs, 144 ribs, 10 stolen bases, batting .322. Well done, sir. This is the upside that you always hope and pray for when it comes to him. He actually managed to play a full season. That still will always be in the back of my mind. Sometimes you let fear get in the way of things. I got to stop doing that, essentially. That big toe can play a problem at any point in time, but the problem is when he's healthy, he's the best player in baseball. It's the same thing of how you'll see my take later on Mike Trout when I cover the Angels in a couple days. I already recorded the episode of how, I still will draft him and I'm just going to handle him like Kershaw. Aaron Judge is a whole nother level to that because he's still younger. He's still producing at an extremely high level. So Aaron Judge is just somebody that we're just going to have to pick high because he's just that good. You know, low end season is 400 at bats and 37 home runs. That's better than like half the people we're talking about today. So Aaron Judge going to be phenomenal. Dom, I'm going to hand it back to you after this. So if you want to stick around, coming up next is Dom's take on Aaron Judge, probably to dunk on me, because that's all he did was say, "Hey, this is my guy this year. You're crazy."
Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. With Game Time Picks, curation makes it easy to save more on sports, concert, comedy, theater, and etc. Game Time has plenty of great features, as well as their their all-in pricing. When you toggle this feature, it shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Their seat views get a panoramic view from the seat you'll be sitting in the app before you buy. Their lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Their Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And all right, I'll start off my Aaron Judge take. I won't give Matt too much hate. He is a Yankee fan. He does like Aaron Judge, so I'm not going to go too crazy. But I will say I told you so. I will say I have proof in the pudding. Anyone in the listening league can attest. I took Aaron Judge in the first round of that league. Paid off, made it all the way to the championship. Shout out to our boy John, who did take me down the championship. But hey, still pays off. Made it there. Second place. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. But Aaron Judge, just another monster year. All he has to do is stay on the field. A lot of fluke injuries in his career, man. He got hit on the wrist, broke his wrist. I think the toe injury is a fluke injury too. That's not, even though he did say himself, hey, it might bother me the rest of my career. It doesn't seem like it bothered him too much this year. The guy is a mountain of a man. He will be 33 next season, right? I'll still be taking him. I'll still be taking him next year. But the downfall is going to come off. I would say within the next 3 years, we'll see it from Aaron Judge, where we see the fall off from the 50-plus homer guy with 300 batting average to maybe like a 260, 270 guy with 30-plus homers, right? Maybe
Still
he'll be
okay with that.
I don't know. As a Yankee fan, that's fine. You know what? Let's get that ring. Let's get that ring for him. Get Soto another ring, and we'll all be happy, right? And then it'll be all worth the contract that Judge is going to get, and the one that we hopefully give to Soto as well. I'll leave it there. I don't want to cover Judge too much, but I wasn't on. The proof is in the pudding. I'll leave it there. One last victory walk, and then I promise, guys, I'll eat some crow here too. I want to talk about Chris Sale though. Chris Sale was literally somebody I took in every single important league I was in. I'll say this with Sale, right? I appreciate the round of applause, man. I truly do. I think when we talk about this, the values aren't going to be on the same guys this year that they are next year, right? So do you want me to tell you I think Chris Sale this year is going to be next? I think it's going to be DeGrom. I think DeGrom can stay. I don't want to turn into a whole DeGrom thing, but I think he can stay healthy and do what Sale did this year. But let's praise Chris Sale some more. He was coming off the board as the 36th starting pitcher, pick 128. I had Chris Sale inside my top 20. I just thought the talent was there. I didn't think that had dissipated. I think he just needed to stay on the field and just pitch those innings. If the Braves believed in him, I believed in him. That's really one of the simplest ways to put it. 2.38 ERA, 29 starts, 177 innings, 225 strikeouts, 209 FIP, and a 101 WHIP this year for Chris Sale. Just did everything right. I believe he is the Cy Young favorite, in my opinion. I think he should get it. Kind of cements that Hall of Fame career for Chris Sale, in my opinion. Now, the thing is, he's going to shoot up the draft boards. I honestly have Chris Sale inside my top 5 starting pitchers for next year. I don't see there's not really, the obvious names there at the top anymore. I think he's going to be drafted there easily. So we're going to have to pay up for him. And will it be worth it? Truth will be told, because it's going to be a heavy price for a guy that does have a tough time staying off the field. When I was getting him as my SP4, yeah, great. But the price is going to be very high on Chris Sale going into next year. I'm going to give you guys the heads up on that now.
That's a lot.
It is. But honestly, I promise you, Matt. Once you sit down and do it, and I'm going to say this to everyone else too: sit down and do it. Sit down, take pen to paper, or finger to phone nowadays, and do it. Do it, and show me your rankings, and then we could sit down and we could talk about it. And join us on Subtext, and we'll have the conversation.
More of a finger kind of guy. Anyway,
I'm old school.
Yeah. But I look at Chris. I don't know what I'm drafting him that high, but
I won't either. But I promise you, that's where he's going to be going.
Which is bunkers. Because I mean, he had an incredible year, and yes, pitchers age gracefully, in my opinion. But Chris Sale has always been elite, except for like the last 3 years that like injury has really plagued him. But you got to look at it like this too. Like, how repeatable is it? I don't think it's sustainable. I think he probably finishes like a top 15 arm. And that's where I'll probably have him. But top 5 is too rich for my blood. But I'm going to move on. I'm going to take a victory lap here. Bichette. I called this. I caught so much flack from all of our listeners. Even the guys that were just like floating in. They called me an idiot. They told me I don't know what I'm talking about. Bichette's the god. Everybody was just like, "Oh, you're crazy." No, I'm not crazy. And it has nothing to do with his injury either. You saw it from the day he stepped out on the field. First at bat, he did not look like Bichette. Bichette has been on a decline the last 3 years since he had that amazing 2021 season. 21-21, he had the 29 home runs. He had all the ribs. He batted 298. You saw the home run numbers come down by 5. The stolen base numbers come down by 12. Okay? The batting average was still great, right? That was the one key thing you can rely on him. Then 2023, still a decent season. He had, he batted 306, right? But he had 5 stolen bases and 20 home runs. You picked him in the top 30, top 40 pick. That is not worth that kind of pick, in my opinion. You only get 20 home runs and 5 stolen bases. Yeah, he bet 306, but like, okay, cool. Along with 69 runs and 73 ribs. All right, bro. That is a bust. Then you look at 2024. Yeah, he only played 311 at bats because he had to get a finger surgery and stuff. But like in that time, though, it was not impressive whatsoever. 29 runs, 16 doubles, 4 home runs, 31 ribs, and batting 225. Come on. You double that because that would be the pace for 600 at bats, right? That's what? 58 runs, 32 doubles. That's actually not bad. Two triples, 8 home runs, 62 ribs, and maybe 10 stolen bases. And that's if that. I don't even think he was going for that. And the batting average will pretty much, I'll give him a 240. Does that look like a top 40 pick for you? Is that somebody you want to draft? No, not at all. That's ugly. And I'm telling you, this is it. This is the reality. The only thing that probably snaps back into place is most likely batting average. And he's going to be probably just like meh for the rest of his career. I don't think Bo is as good as we all thought he is. The underlying stats never really supported it either. He never really hit the ball super hard. He was a line drive guy, and the line drives really weren't even like a great in terms of sweet spot. It was just like, it was overproducing for what the underlying stats were showing. We are now just seeing it come to fruition. Bichette is just overrated.
So I'm with you. I'm with you 90% on Bichette, right? I was out on him too this year. I had him ranked as my number 12 shortstop coming into the year, where he was being drafted as number 8 shortstop. As I mentioned, pick 36 overall. That was a little bit crazy. I was not touching him there. Let's look at Bichette's 2022, right? Because I think that's where the sweet spot's going to lie for Bichette. He can still hit. I think he's going to come back next year, and we're going to see he can still hit. Yeah, I had a plethora of injuries this year for Bichette. But he's not, like you said, he's not going to be elite. There's not another level here. He's not, the sprint speed has actually gone down year by year. On a year by year pace, he's gotten slower, and he's only 26, so you hate to see that. So he's never going to be an elite stolen base guy. The 2021 season where he had 25 steals, that was a fluke for Bichette. He's not that fast. He's not going to do that. But can he hit 25 homers if the Blue Jays get better? Can he have good runs and RBIs? Yeah, of course. And I think the batting average stuff is somewhat sticky. The underlying stuff, even for for this year is well, not for this year, but you know, he was banged up a little bit this year. I think the batting average stuff overall for his career looks pretty solid. So can Bichette be a 25 homer, 280 hitter with, you know, in a good year, 100 runs and, you know, 75 RBIs? Yes. So I'll be in on him again next year if the price is right, but he has to be outside the
It
top
won't be.
Yeah, that's the thing. He has to be outside the top 100, and I have to get him as like my second utility or one of my bench bats for me to be in on Bichette. But with that said, we are Matt. Can we sneak one more in, or you want to just keep it pushing?
Let's sneak one in. Go for it.
Yeah, we'll sneak one more because I do want to eat crow on a name here. I don't know if I ate too much crow this episode. Bryce Miller. I was out on Bryce Miller. I did not think, you know, he was going to be able to develop the pitches the way he did this year. I should have known better because he is a student of the game. But you know what? He really took it to home. He gets to work with all of those great starting pitchers in Seattle, the Logan Gilberts, the Luis Castillos, the George Kirbys, and I really think that has taken Bryce Miller to this next level. On the year, 31 starts, 2.94 ERA, 180 innings, 171 strikeouts, an 0.97 WHIP, and I think that's going to be the key thing here for Miller. Instead of going in the direction of trying to be a strikeout guy like he was in the minors, he took the step of, let me just get the outs. I'll stay around that K per 9. I'll get the outs. I'll suppress the runs. The whip, his control, he's pinpoint control. He's really, really known for his control. He did it excellently in the minors. The FIP is really, it's a little bit higher than the ERA. So I'd expect Miller next year to be like a 3.2 ERA, 200 innings, 180 strikeouts, a sub-1 whip. I'm going to be in on Bryce Miller next year. I'm telling you that. I just hope the price does not get out of control on a guy like this. Still only going to be 26 next year. I was in on him when he was in the minors, kind of took a step back after the year he had last year when he got called up, but he really progressed. I love to see it from a guy like Bryce Miller.
I'll make mine quick. I liked Bryce Miller coming in here. I kind of got talked out of it just a smidge, but I look at it like, no, I mean, it was a popular opinion. You weren't alone in that aspect.
True.
Bryce Miller, honestly, like, we're going to look at this. I'm never going to be mad at him, and his future looks like this. If he could be an inning eater, which if he starts hitting 220, he's a Sandy Alcantara at this point. Maybe not as elite in Sandy's, you know, one amazing year, but, you know, that's kind of what, but that's where you can kind of look at the realm of possibilities. But guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. You know, thank you for being with us this whole season. 2025 is going to be awesome. Season 3 of Dom and I on Locked On is going to be awesome.
Yes.
It's wild.
Very excited.
Yes. And look out for our Dolo episodes. The next 2 is going to be me, White Sox, and the Angels. And Dom will be following up at the latter half of the week. So, guys, have a great week.
And the Rockies for you.
Yes. Check out Sully over at Locked On MLB. And peace out.
Sure.